Hey everyone, we are live. I'm hoping because I'm trying out a new streaming site, and I hope that people are watching. I'm going to click this button that says chat just to see. Um, but we are. It's me, Dio. We're back another Saturday, and we're
Good
here with
evening.
we're here with the boys of Memorial Set
Galaxy
Galaxy
Memorial
Memorial
Park.
Park. Galaxy
What he
Memorial.
said.
JD Gunter and Levi Skeen, and we're going to talk to them tonight about their comic and where they come from and those kinds of things. And we're going to do a little different thing tonight as well. We're going to ask three big questions a little later on. See if they have some decent answers and if we can make them sweat a little bit. So, anyways, let's get started with just
Awesome.
a basic introduction. We'll start with you, JD. Where are you from as far as your comic book journey?
So, what comics? My as a little kid, I absolutely loved those gold key titles. Like my all time favorite one. I'm going all the way back, and I'll try not to waste too much time here, but I loved Boris Karloff Tales of Mystery. I do not know if that resonates with you guys, but that always had um, it had monsters in every single story. It seemed like because this was post um, um, what do you call it, comics code. You couldn't show like axe murders and stuff like that, so their way of dealing with that was just do stories about monsters. And so I love those covers. I also loved Gold Key's Turok Son of Stone, because that had dinosaurs in it. um, for a while, I basically comics were always there in the background. Swamp Thing, Man Thing, uh, and then like a lot of people, I fell away from comics, started getting into movies and things like that when I was a teenager. But then a really good friend of mine, he was really into comics. He was always trying to get me into comics. Uh, but he was finally able to hook me in at the late 80s, early 90s with The Punisher, because I loved, Schwarzenegger movies and Rambo and Dirty Harry and stuff like that. And so when it comes to making comics and things like that, the very first thing that Levi and I started to do had a lot of influence of The Punisher, Marvel's Midnight Suns, and things like that, where it was action, gritty action, horror, and monsters and things like that. So we had a character. We kind of did a couple of things. We weren't able to get anything like published, but um, we started working all the way back in 1995. Uh, so we've been basically hanging out for like a long time. Um, the thing I loved about superhero comics was it had this bright, optimistic, even when it was, dark and gritty, there was still a little flicker of light. And I love that. And that's kind of the spirit that, I really wanted to put into, Levi and I into Galaxy Memorial Park. So that's kind of that's where my comic journey is. You're going to get a lot more details, I think, out of Levi here.
Well, let's get some of them details then.
Okay, so I'm the youngest of six, so I inherited a stack of comic books that weren't my pickings. My oldest brother Tracy, he was really big into war comic books, so I got the Sergeant Rocks, Enemy Ace, Unknown Soldier. I didn't realize that I was a huge Joe Kubert fan until later because of those books. And then it was GI Joe. Like I had no intention of doing a comic book life or whatever. I wanted to be a Marine. I was constantly GI Joe this, GI Joe that, and it wasn't until I discovered the GI Joe comic book on a local gas station that I went, oh wait a minute, and that's so I started collecting GI Joe first, and then I found X-Men, and then it was just there.
It's awesome.
So,
It's funny,
excuse me.
JD. I lost my collection years ago. But one of the comics I still have, and I don't know how it came into my possession, is a Gold Key Boris Karloff Presents comic book. I have to find it and take a snapshot and send it to you.
Oh, nice.
But yeah,
very
funny,
nice.
Man. Yeah, it's a trip. And Levi, Crenshaw, didn't you find? Didn't you get into GI Joe? Wasn't that one of the first comics too, like a barbershop or something? Or am I mistaken?
Yeah. When I was a kid, my barber down in Arizona, he had always had GI Joe comics there, and I'd go in there and read them, and it was one of those things where I loved GI Joe. The toys were like one of my favorite things, and the cartoons. But at that time, I wasn't quite connecting to the comic thing, so I would flip through them and think, "Oh, it's kind of cool." But it wasn't until later that the comics, started clicking for me. But now I'm trying to go back and go to the comic book store and trying to buy some of the old, the old GI Joe comics and stuff, and. But like anything else, they cost money. So, yeah. Excuse me. I was going to ask a question earlier, and then I choked on my own drink.
It's all right.
No worries. Oh, so how many? That's what I was going to ask. How many things have you guys done together so far? This isn't your first, is it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
it is.
I myself realized fairly early on that I could probably make more money as an inker, so I concentrated on that. So we were constantly trying to find pencilers, and we probably restarted the Macabre project 3-4 times.
Right.
Yeah.
Macabre was the name of the character that, like I was saying, was a mix of gritty action and horror. The idea was Dirty Harry meets the monsters, basically.
Yeah. It was anyway. It was a great idea. I mean, he had it to where this guy was basically put under a voodoo spell type of deal, and every time he fell asleep, he had he fell into a circus, and all the clowns would just try and eat him.
Yes.
And so he hires this paranormal detective to try and figure out why in the hell he's dreaming this way, and then the paranormal detective he gets dragged into the dream with him.
Oh,
right.
So, but it was fairly cool. I mean, because once he's in there, he realizes, that he can warp the dream to his what he likes, and all of a sudden he turns into the Gatling gun from Predator. Right. And all of a sudden he's in the circus. He's just kind of mowing down guys with a Gatling gun.
Yeah,
exactly. Right out of his
imagination.
And the original guy, he figures it out, and he turns himself into a Jedi. Just starts kind of
exactly. Yep.
It was the perfect Jay really, you could see the scenes in there, like purposely, like, okay, there's the one from Predator, there's the one from this movie, there's the one from this movie, where he was a nice little amalgamation of all of Jay's favorite movies.
That's awesome.
Right.
Does he show up at all in GMP or no?
No.
Okay. He could.
I'm sorry. What was that question?
Does he show up in GMP?
No. There is like one tiny little scene that kind of echoes a scene that was in the clown story. You can even read that in the ash can. It's in there. It's basically a character that gets overwhelmed by these kind of creepy creatures, and he's able to kind of force his way out for a second.
That's cool. That's awesome that you were able to revisit that story. You know what I mean? So
yes.
Afterwards, and actually incorporate it into something new. So that's awesome. Cool.
So in your journey to find a penciler, and apparently never quite getting there, how did that lead into Galaxy Memorial Park?
So, Jay's always been a writer. He's a published novelist. I was always trying to break in as an inker. So it was always just networking here in town, all the locals, doing the local convention circuit. And so you gather a collection of friends, and you eventually want to work with them.
Mhm.
So you're kind of like, okay, well, how can we all get together on a project and fit the pieces together for this project? And so basically, probably around, it's well over 10 years ago, the idea
Yeah.
for Galaxy Memorial Park was blossomed.
Huh.
And part of the uh, the book was called, the indie book was called Holy Crawlers, and the when they republished it in Image Comics, the book was called Common Grounds. And so I picked up that book, and it was a like a Marvel Comics Presents type deal, where there was multiple chapters in this thing by multiple artists, and it basically just dealt with a coffee shop, a donut shop to be precise. And the donut shop was off limits to fighting. So you had stories where like a villain would walk in and get his donut and his coffee, and there would be his arch nemesis, right? There was one in particular that was really funny, that you find yourself in the bathroom and you're needing toilet paper, and you're like, hey buddy, in the next stall, and you find out it's your arch nemesis, right? And the guy just doesn't want to share toilet paper with you, and then it comes to find out he doesn't think that you're his arch nemesis. He kind of thinks you're like a couple of tiers below, so it was just those type of stories. Like Ethan Van Sciver did a story in there where a guy at the end of at closing time tried robbing the donut shop, and he ends up kidnapping the waitress. And as he's driving her away from the donut shop, she turns on her powers, and basically is like, "How stupid who do you think works at a place like this? like I wouldn't have powers, And so that was kind of it. You're like, okay, so we need a story about a place. And then we could fit all these different little things in it. So that was the actual origin of Galaxy Memorial Park.
Nice.
Just a reason to work with friends, and having
where we could kind of have a variety of characters and things like that, kind of around what started out as a gimmick, coffee shop for superheroes, donut shop for superheroes, taxi service for superheroes, something like that. And then we came up with, what about a graveyard for superheroes? Well, that's interesting. The way my mind works, it has a tendency to go toward, scary or, dark subjects and things like that. But after we came up with Graveyard for Superheroes, and I started doing some initial notes, while some of the people that we were working with, we kind of had like a little group going. They were coming up with various characters and things like that. Mm-hmm. And only like a couple of them are still around now. We reached out and made sure, hey, can we use this character,
Because there was...
What's that? Go ahead.
I blanked. I'm sorry, man.
That's all right. So just long story short, when I started to write the scripts and things like that, it suddenly was no longer jokey. All of these things started to pop into my head. Wait a minute. This is something where people are going there and they're remembering people that they've lost. And the kernel of this really big story involving madness and lost love and earth-shattering implications and things like that started to occur to me, some of which, because I was kind of going through some weird, not quite relationship stuff myself. All of this started to happen, and it all kind of gelled. And the result is about 300 pages of a story about superheroes with a lot of stuff in it about, it could be about first responders, it could be about military, it could be about law enforcement, people that they're the people that have their own section of a cemetery, usually because they've given their lives to save people from a fire, or they've gone into harm's way from a military action or something like that. Superheroes are kind of the same way, but with superheroes, they come back, or bad guys might try to use their remains. If you could find Superman's remains, you could turn him into some, kind of like, the movie really wasn't that good, but Batman versus Superman had an idea of using. If you haven't seen the movie, it's no big thing, but they take General Zod's remains from Man of Steel and they turn him into Doomsday, this big Frankenstein monster looking thing.
You ruined it.
So yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Why did you say Martha? Never mind. But anyway.
I remember what I was going to say back there.
Please.
When we were talking to our friends about developing this thing, we went up to them and said, "What do you want to draw?" Right. So a lot of our characters have a cookie cutter feel to them, and it's on purpose, to where we want to go, okay, we couldn't borrow that character from Marvel comic books, but we're going to have a character that's kind of very similar to it, and it's kind of going to be not boring, but it's, like I said, like a cookie cutter. Like you're going to
a blank slate.
Thank you so much. And you're going to imprint on it. Like, oh, wait a minute, this would be a story that this character would fit into. So asking people what they wanted to draw was really important to us, and we went in and took those ideas and helped form the overall story. So because you kind of want multiple people involved, you want everybody to enjoy themselves and have fun. Yeah. So
how many stories are going to be, how many issues are we talking? How many stories in each issue? What's it going to look like?
It's a graphic novel. Like I said, it's over 300 pages long. So we have divided it up into about 4. This last one, I'm really hoping we can keep it to 4. I don't want it to balloon into 5, but it might, because that final chapter is like, it's honking. Yeah. But
because I didn't put a limit on him. I didn't. I didn't put a limit on Jay. I didn't say each chapter has to be 22 pages. I just said just write until you feel like it's done, and I'll draw it.
That's exactly what we did. So optimally, 4 volumes, each about 70 pages or so. And that final one, that's going to be your big extravaganza.
Yes, I know that Dio's got something to do with it. What the other? We're gonna have guest artists then.
Yes. So Dio would be showing up in book 3. So the first two volumes are going to be 72 pages each. The third volume, I think, is probably going to be about 72 pages. And then Dio does the flashback scene for a character we call Silverbug, and she is our basically our Spider Gwen. And it was pretty easy. I liked Dio's stuff, and he came on X, and he did his Spider-Man drawing. He said Spider-Man's my all-time favorite, and I was basically like, okay, what do you go back to that question again? Like, what do you want to draw? Like, what would inspire you to collaborate with us? So,
and it was fun, guys. It was first of all, the design of the character and just the story just made it so easy to jump into that world. And I hope I did it justice.
You did.
But yeah, it was fun, man. I love the designs. I love the story flow. It just felt like the comics I grew up with, and it was fun to actually have a chance to jump in and live in y'all's world for a little bit there, man. It was a blast, and Jewel had a blast coloring that a piece as well, man. Which
nice.
This is good stuff, man. So it just goes to show that you guys you have something I'm interested in reading, and then the designs themselves just have something that actually captures my imagination while reading it. Because Levi, you're killing it on the artwork, man.
Thank you, man.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is.
Big time. I love the style. I love your style, and I also just love the designs you guys have come up with for these characters, man. Like I said, looking at her piece, I was looking at the line work, and I was just like, man, this is a really it just has its own feel to it, you know, with the story and just the artwork that's coming along. That it's going to be a fun ride, man. I'm excited to actually see the rest of the book too.
Yeah.
Well,
when it came to the design of the characters and stuff, we really wanted the feel of the book to be like the way you felt as a kid discovering a particular issue and then going, wait, there's more, you know, and see maybe the editor's note that sent you back to the comic book shop, and it made you discover all the old stories and stuff. So, and we really wanted the fill-in artists that doing the flashback scenes to have their own stamp on the issues, you know.
Yeah.
Where it was like it felt like you were the guy in charge of those issues in that particular time, you know, like Dio was doing Spider, you know, Silverbug in issue 250 to 272, you know, and then you would notice, like, every time somebody took over the X-Men, they would redesign the costumes, and you're like, why? And you're kind of like, well, because the artist wanted something easier to draw, something more along the lines of made themselves happy by little tweaks here and there.
Right.
Yeah.
Or just to put their thumbprint on it.
Yeah. So that was important to us, that, you know, that it was definitely the people we collaborate with were having fun, because the amount of times, I mean, you can't get to this age without being a little disappointed sometimes, you know, of people not exactly wanting to do what you want to do. So I'm just kind of like, okay, I just want people that want to be along for the ride.
How many thumbprints are going to be in the book then?
Ooh. So I'm on chapter, is it 8? Is the lesson, is that chapter 8?
Yes, that's chapter 8.
This will probably be, so Dio did chapter 7, pages 1 through 16. I did pages 17 through 24. And then we go to chapter 8. And chapter 8 is called The Lesson. And the first 12 pages are pretty standardized pages. And the rest of the time, it's called a lesson because the two characters, one is giving a lesson to the other character using flashcards. And so on those flashcards is the characters that we have come up with. So she's explaining the story to you finally, right? She's like, here's a card for this guy. And when she holds up the cards, it's going to be other people's artwork.
Nice.
Right. So like when she holds up the Silverbug card, it's going to be Dio's artwork on the card. Awesome. So yeah, so hopefully. So chapter 8 is probably the most heavily, it's going to be my easiest chapter, because there is a ton of fill-in artists, because there's a ton of cards where she's explaining the different characters in the story.
That's rad. So when I know it's going to be a few months before you guys launch the campaign, is that going to be a perk? Like, are those cards going to be part of the campaign?
They could be.
Yeah.
We haven't.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, we're hoping. We haven't planned on it yet. The one perk that we are definitely probably going to do is ash cans. So this first ash can is going to be available in perpetuity, whatever that, you know, forever. So we get to the first campaign, you'll be able to buy the first ash can and the first volume of it. Once we reach a certain tier, then we were going to release an ash can for volume 2. And so volume 2's ash can, volume 3's ash can, and volume 4's ash can will only be available on those campaigns and won't be available anywhere else ever again.
Yeah.
Yep.
How many how far along are you in them in your schedule for releasing them? What's that going to look like?
May 23rd is Memorial Day.
May 23rd is volume 1.
And then
Memorial Day weekend is what that is.
Yeah.
And it is complete. It's lettered, it's gray toned, it's ready to be shipped to the printers. Volume 2, all of the artwork is complete. It has not been gray tone and it has not been lettered, but all 72 pages of artwork have been penciled and inked. And then Volume 3, Chapter 7 is done, thanks to Dio, and I am on Chapter 8. So, yeah, so I'm basically, if you broke down the chapters, we have 13 chapters, and if you said each one of those chapters is an issue, I'm currently penciling issue 8, and we haven't even released issue 1 yet.
Nice.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Yep. And there's about 13. There's 13 there's 13 chapters altogether. And 13 is like an epilogue, a tiny little snippet of a story going, this is what happened to this character. This is what's going on with this character moving forward.
Yeah.
Nice. So you guys gonna hopefully be kind of cooking along on the releases and stuff, and
Yep.
keeping interest alive as much as you can. You know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Important
As of right
thing
now,
in
it's
this scene. You know. But go ahead. What were you saying?
as of right now, we planned on 4 releases, each on Memorial Day, but we would like to get to the point where maybe we release on Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
Mm-hmm.
So,
If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's not a big disaster, but
no pressure.
yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, I'm excited about getting that thing moving along and getting that released. The campaign going, and it's more fodder for my reviews and stuff, my little reviews that I make.
Cool.
So yeah, just I hope you guys kill it though.
Right. We did get a review.
Yeah, did you?
Oh,
Yeah. Do you want to speak on that?
okay. I don't want to just throw around his name like, well, such and so and so. So Mike Barron and I have kind of had like a back and forth. I don't even remember how it started. It's like, what's that?
You're friends.
Yeah.
Say it.
But I sent him a copy of the ash can and said, hey, if I send you a copy gratis, would you read it and, maybe take a look at it? Not review it, but, just tell us what you think. So he called, he got it. We set up a phone call. He described it as interesting. You want to talk? Okay, sure. We talked on Tuesday, and he had some suggestions art-wise and writing-wise. There's probably going to be some changes made. I mean, the guy is a professional and has been a professional since the 1980s, so we're not going to take that advice. So, but yeah, there has been a professional that has read at least the first 17 pages of the book. And what did he say? I'll give you a B.
We got a B.
We got a B.
That's awesome.
That's pretty good.
That's super cool, man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes. But I was very privileged, and I thanked him for his time and for talking. So
That's super cool. Yeah, because I mean, he could have said nothing. You know what I mean? And
exactly. Yes.
to have somebody actually reply, it just shows that they actually care. Because I mean, he could have said, it actually gave you a call to give his input and stuff. That's awesome, man. Congratulations, boys.
The dude is very busy, obviously, because he's a professional, and there's no industry where you can get a job at and work there for any period of time. He is basically just like us, but he's got the advantage of having worked for, doing this kind of stuff as long as he has. But the guy is not just with me, but I've seen him interact with others. He's very patient. He's a pretty cool guy. He's a very cool guy.
That's awesome.
Yes.
I know, he seems to be more than willing to lend a helping hand with advice to small time indie creators and stuff like that. It seems like he's really really into comics and helping them grow.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
And that is.
Go ahead.
It doesn't quite seem like it's the norm, like it always seemed like when you're trying to go get a job in comic books, like every time you found a hole in the fence, they fucking filled it in. You had to dig another hole. It's always they have that wrestler mentality. You're like, not my spot. I'm not going to help you, kid. Not my spot.
And that's what's so nice about the indie space, man, nowadays, and the capability to reach people, on Twitter and just on different social aspects and crowdfunding sites, is that that barrier is lifted. It's not the same as it was before, and it's just it's a cool vibe, man. It's almost like I haven't been to a con in a while. I love those videos you guys posted of your old days going to cons. This is what it feels like. It feels like having a con inside your house, almost like walking down Artist Alley every day of the week, which is awesome, man. So yeah, it's just it's cool to see that barrier has since been lifted, so people can get their stuff out there, good or bad. It's a way to sharpen your skills. So it's a good time, man. I think.
Yeah, good time to be alive for indie comics.
For sure. Knock on wood.
Real quick.
I see you guys. I'm like, oh, we're having a deal. Oh man.
Real quick, I want to do a little. We got. Looks like we got a couple of 3 viewers. If you are watching this right now, again, testing out a new streaming site. If you could just say hi in the chat, so we know that works, because I don't know, but that'd be very helpful.
I do.
And
I have a YouTube.
What's that?
I have a YouTube tab up. We are streaming.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good.
You're one of the 3 then, huh?
Probably, yeah.
No worries. But all right. So I have the website, your guys' website, linked in the description. It should be. I had it in the comments earlier. I don't know if those are still there. Again, trying this thing out, but so hopefully they're still there and people can go and check that out. If not, I'll edit it up later and get those available.
Excuse me.
For the website. But we want to. We're trying to. Another thing we're doing is we're trying to tighten up the show a little bit. A lot of rambling in our past 6 episodes. So we want to kind of. So I'm going to move on to a new segment. Okay, so
Very cool.
Hit this button, see how it goes, and then we're going to ask the big questions.
There you go.
Oh, it worked.
Yeah.
Good job, Levi. Good
Yes.
All right, so this is just to get to know you guys better. We're gonna start trying to this with all our guests and ask you 3 questions, get some answers. I don't know how prepared you are for these. They might be deep, they might be off, just kind of whatever. So we'll start with this. What song or album would you put on the soundtrack for Galaxy Memorial Park?
He's done it. Literally, there's a playlist. I could send you the playlist.
Okay, awesome.
Let's see. It would be. It would not be pop. It would be. Okay. I'm the one that kind of puts together the trailers for these. Whenever I do, I try to find something that sounds epic and kind of poignant, but sooner or later it's going to come down to kicking butt. So that is kicking butt and opening up to some big cosmic sense. that's the cool thing about comics. And I'll try not to ramble too much, but I can't think of anything. If this was like a horror thing, I would say something like Alice Cooper's Welcome to My Nightmare or something like that, but that's not Galaxy Memorial Park. Like I said, it would be I would commission someone like Hans Zimmer to do some big music. Like I said, this reflects what I think is cool about comics. It starts with the human and the personal, and then it opens up through action and explosions and fighting and high adrenaline stuff, and then ends up with this big sense of cosmic purpose.
Awesome.
How about you, Levi? You got any?
Yeah.
While you're drawing,
so he labeled every chapter in Galaxy Memorial Park after his song.
oh, nice.
It's a song title. So with that in mind, Volume 2, Chapter 4 deals with our villain, or one of our main villains. And with that in mind, I kind of wanted him to be on the cover of it, and keeping the music theme in mind, I did a homage to Quiet Rights, Mental Health.
Mental health. Yep.
That's
The
awesome.
dude in the straight jacket. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because
Yes.
our okay, spoiler here. Our villain, who was at the epicenter of the explosion of the original park, survives, and he has been put into a medically induced coma this entire time, and he's been awoken. So he's basically been in a mental institution in a padded room. So it was kind of like, okay, that cover for Mental Health would be perfect for it then.
Yep.
So, and then we added a little bit of an homage to the Killing Joke, where it's what's that say on his the ha 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 all over it. And what he keeps repeating to himself in his story is, "It's not all my fault. It's not all my fault." And so we have that written all over the walls inside of the pin. It's not all my, yeah.
Dio, you've named.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Dio, you named your issues, right, after songs.
I have, yeah, my chapters as well. Yeah, they're named after songs as well. It's too funny, man. I mean, it's I'm sure the same for you guys, which obviously just music moves you. I mean,
Yes.
in different ways. I mean, there's songs that can tear me up. Don't tell anybody. But and songs that make me want to flip tables over. So it's one of those things where I think it goes hand in hand with storytelling and just art in general. For most people, Jewel doesn't. I mean, she couldn't name you one band she likes or one song she likes, which is crazy to me. She's awesome and she's a great artist. So obviously, it doesn't go hand in. It's not necessary to have, but it just seems like for a lot of people, it just goes in hand. But Jewel's a strange one. So in the best way ever. So yeah, that's funny, man. That's a trip. That's awesome.
Well, Dio, let me. The chapter that you're doing, it's titled. It's not the title of a song, it's a line from a song. It's called So Much Better Than It Is Today, and that's a line from a Meatloaf song. God, Paradise by the Dashboard Light.
It's a good song. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It was awesome. Long ago, and it was far away, and it was so much better than it is today. That's the awesome. Theme of that. That's the theme of that story. And you illustrated the quote unquote the good part of it.
Right.
Levi is illustrating now it's today.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Without giving anything away, totally. Where
yes.
There's a cool page where Levi takes over. It's sort of a jam piece. So I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yes.
That's awesome, man. That's super cool. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. All right. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to going back to the art and music and artists. It can really affect what you're drawing and how you're drawing it. I was trying to ink a page one time, and Limp Bizkit came on the radio, just give me something to break. You're just like, "Da-na, da-na," and all of a sudden my ink started getting angry. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute here. And
Mhm.
I learned to turn on. We got a local college radio station here in town that does all the classical music, Mozart and all that other crap. And
Mhm.
I didn't know what I was listening to, but I'm like, man, this is great brush music. Just all. Yeah.
I'd love to see that page though. The inks you did with the.
And the difference between that and the classical.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, okay. Second question. Here we go. In recent days, Elon Musk and Doge, the Department of Government Efficiency, have made headlines highlighting some of the more incredible expenditures of our spendthrift government. A couple of examples: 1.4 million annually on National Bubble Wrap Relief Study, 84,000 to find out why people fall in love. With this in mind, do you have any extravagant purchases in your life you'd be embarrassed for the nerds at Doge to find out about?
Yes, I'd go first on this. I was at Emerald City Comic Con on one of those years, and I used to clean up a lot in this because it's a Seattle con. I started very early on doing Transformers Seahawks, and it was right at the time where 2 or 3 years previously to the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl, and then I rode the Super Bowl through, and I have probably a collection of over 20 pieces of artwork that are all dedicated to Seahawk amalgamations of Transformers, superheroes, anything I could think of that would deal with that player and a character, just so I could sell them at this convention, and I would clean up. And this is Sunday, and you have your lock box at the table, and of course my wife and kids are there, and the lockbox eventually gets to the point where you're folding stuff in half and just shoving it in your pocket, and you got a big wad of cash on you, right? Dear IRS, this was a long time ago. Please do not go after me for this. So it's Sunday. It's probably sometime around 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So the con's going to be closing in about 3 hours. And I have the overflow wad in my pocket. And my wife comes up and says, why don't you go take a break? You've worked hard all weekend, right? Go out and buy yourself something.
Mm.
Oh no.
Shit. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I came back 5 minutes later with my very first ever, 12-inch Captain America statue, right? And then she looked at me, and I was like, I'll be right back. And then I came back, and probably another 15, 20 minutes later with my very first it was the Joe Kubert Tarzan run in the giant collected artist edition things, the giant things. And that thing was like $150 at the time because they were brand new. IDW was just starting to put them out.
Yeah.
So to me, that was silly money.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool, man. I think that's a good purchase.
Yeah,
it totally is. I would still have. Yes. Oh God, yes. Yeah. Because I would never do that on my own. If I was at home, I would be like, no, I got bills, I got kids, football practice, I got, there's all kinds of excuses. So
what you're saying is, if I go to a Comic-Con, don't have a wad of cash on me.
Yeah.
Or just or just be prepared to lose most of that wad. So
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's basically like a casino.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
JD, you got any purchases that you just
Oddly enough, at a convention, if I remember right, it was also at a Seattle convention. I was there. I actually had a photocopied, folded over first few pages of that clown story that Levi and I were trying to put together. And I was trying to show some people, one of which was Brian Azzarello. Brian Azzarello. Yeah. And I gave it, I gave it to him, asked him to read it. All right, I'll be right back, and he comes back and gives me, kind of a review. That was pretty cool. But The rest of the time, I'm running around the floor and I'm seeing all of this artwork. There's something about artwork that's magic to me. And I wound up purchasing 2 or 3 things. And this was at a time I did not have a lot of money and I should not have been spending it in, especially $30 here, $25 here, there. Among the stuff that I purchased was an artist by the name of, I forget his first name. Francavilla is his last name.
Yes.
He did this black ink, pencil and ink, black and white sketch of Barbara Steele in the 1968, I think it is, movie Black Sunday. And it's her with those massive eyes of hers and those holes in her face from, when she got the demon mask put on her and all of that with the nails in it. And I had to have it. It was like 30 some odd bucks, but I was able to talk to him, talk to his wife, and he was talking, he gave me a little rundown of, why he draws what he does. He had stuff from Hellboy. He had this portrait of H.P. Lovecraft with tentacles around him and all of that. But that was such an awesome purchase, but I had no business spending that money. So yeah, comic conventions, you should stay away from them if you're on a limited budget. Yep.
That's awesome.
Dio.
I limited budget for sure. But I guess my answer wouldn't be something nerdy. I mean, I know this was years ago. I mean, probably 2 decades ago. I went to it was, I think, $5 for all you could drink at a place in Tampa with a buddy of mine, Pat Parnell, who just had a baby. Congratulations, Pat. But we went out and I ended up spending over $100. It was all you could, it got the bartender to me quick. But I was embarrassed about it. I still am. But it was one of those things where it was all you could drink for $5 at this club bar. And I ended up spending like $100. And it was just, I was embarrassed. I'm like, what happened? But you tip, I made sure I tipped. I came from the service industry back in the day. So it was one of those, I was making sure I was tipping every time I was getting a drink. And of course I got a drink quickly, but I ended up spending way more money, I think, than I would have if I was just buying drinks as they were. So that is not a big spender, man. I'm pretty, I'm stuff. But yeah, that's still embarrassing to this day. So, but that tells you if we ever meet up, boys, and things are looking good, I'll buy drinks. So just I'll be like, put it on that Ball Dudes tab right there. So,
well, I got y'all beat. It's not a geek thing. It's not even fun drinks. When I was probably 18 or so, working, getting some decent money at the time, I bought 2 pairs of shoes that were probably $230 each.
whoa!
They were called Angels, and they were one of them had flames coming up the front. They were all leather.
Nice.
They essentially looked like bowling shoes, but like a little cooler.
Oh, that's
But
funny.
I mean, I wore the hell out of them. But yeah, my wife just she told me today that if I still had those, she would not be with me anymore. So,
So I told you that my brother lived down there in Napa, right?
yeah.
Well, I moved him from Olympia down to Napa, and me and my dad showed up at his house, and we were helping him load the U-Haul and moving his family down there. I had no idea that my brother was a shoe collector,
Oh.
and he had some similar stuff like that. He's like, yeah, he had some Timberlines that still had nice bottoms on it, and some of the kids that came to help were like, oh my goodness, those are such and such and such. And I'm like, see, Dad, comic book collecting is not so weird, is it? Yeah, it's like, hey, he can wear his collection.
Yeah. Yeah, you see the videos of the guys with the sneaker heads, and they got walls of shoes, and then I think, yeah, but I got comics. Like I can't really, fault them for that. It's their thing. I got mine, and theirs probably get some girls better than comics ever did any guy. So, yeah. All right, we got one more question for you guys tonight. Do you hate the Cybertruck?
No, I don't really think about it. I see it a lot, but yeah, it doesn't really bother me.
I see people bashing it all the time, and I'm like, I don't know. It's got an ugliness that I find charming.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the only thing about it that if anything is that it's like playing Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, or one of those games, and then somebody modded in a truck from Cyberpunk, where it seems like nothing else is caught up with it yet. If that makes sense. Like it seems like it would look good in a futuristic.
It does. Yes.
It looks like where we're headed, but it just seems so out of place when you see it next to my 2002 Toyota Camry. But yeah, I mean, I think they look cool. It just seems like it's almost ahead of its time, shape wise. But yeah, I don't hate them, man. Yeah.
I have an affinity for ugly vehicles. I'm not even a car guy, but like a Gremlin, I'll take.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Okay. All right.
The mid '80s Mustangs hatchbacks.
Oh really?
if somebody offered that to me, I would drive that. I have a theory. It's not the car that makes you cool. It's you that makes the car cool. And I'm going to try to prove it to my wife one day by buying the ugliest car I can and driving it and looking good in it.
That's awesome.
And it might be the Cybertruck.
So did your guys' opinion of the Cybertruck change after you seen the explosion?
Oh yeah, I mean that was sort of cool. I mean, definitely the whole bulletproof aspect and the fact that it contained that explosion was it's pretty nuts, man. So I mean, look, he was pretty spot on about it being a sturdy vehicle. Yeah. So that's, if anything, look, I'm not a car guy either, but I remember my mother, God rest her soul, always had fun stuff. She would say when we were driving, like, I wish this car had a 50 cal. And I wish it was bulletproof. So the only thing I ever want is a bulletproof car. You know what I mean? So that would be a reason to get the Cybertruck or do some modifications to the Camry. So we'll see which one comes first.
Right.
Well, I mean, those are the three big questions. I'm glad you guys had some good answers for them. I'm gonna play it again just because I like it.
It's awesome.
And if anyone thought that was cool, I'm trying to do more. So hold on to your seats. But thank you guys for coming on. We're coming up on pretty close to the hour. Do you guys have anything else you want to add before we wrap up and call it a night and let everyone get to sleep? I guess you guys still, it's still kind of early-ish on your end of the town, but
yeah, but it's not for you guys, obviously.
I mean,
if you don't,
it's only an hour ahead.
What's that?
I was just gonna say it's not too bad for me.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, my usual bedtime is 9 o'clock. So I'm half an hour deep into sleep already. But yeah, go ahead.
Can I let me talk about the newsletter? So, Galaxy Memorial Park, we have a newsletter. We encourage as many people as possible to sign up for it, and it's not the usual newsletter. Yeah, we talk about the book, we talk about the thoughts that go behind it, schedules and stuff like that, but the thing that you get, one of the things I wanted to do is you try to offer your reader or your audience something free, something valuable, but yet free. With our newsletter, which comes out every other Wednesday, you get a free, it's called flash fiction story, a little tiny short story about a character a place, an event, something like that about Galaxy Memorial Park and all of the different heroes and all of the different people that surround this place. See, the story of Galaxy Memorial Park graphically, it almost all takes place. It starts or ends. It's like a circular thing. It's almost always in the park itself, unless somebody's remembering something. But the stories that you get with the newsletter, they take place sometimes in the park, but they'll take place deep beneath the ocean. They'll take place in outer space. They'll take place in Las Vegas in the 1970s. You're getting stories of the Drifter. The Drifter is our Batman. He's a deathless cowboy character. He's basically as if Clint Eastwood in High Plains Drifter were a superhero. There is a story that I wrote that takes place in the 1970s where he has to save a woman from being grabbed off the street. There's our Aquaman, quote unquote. He is the Aquanaut. I write a story about this couple on a deep dive, like a trench, in this deep dive submarine, suddenly losing power. They're dropping, then all of a sudden they stop. You get introduced to the Aquanaut. But you get this. So the one thing that I really wanted to do in every single aspect, even our social media posts, if you want to learn more about the world of Galaxy Memorial Park, if you read each of these posts, I will take a little snippet of Levi's or someone else's art, Dio's art for, just the phenomenal stuff he's been doing with his, the beginning of his chapter. But I will attach that to a fact about a character, a fact about some aspect of the world. So there's all sorts of stuff that you can go into and learn more about the world of Galaxy Memorial Park, and it's free. And the whole purpose of this is to set it up. And I like this place. Let's get to the main story. Let's get to the main, story that we're telling about this. So all of our social media posts and the newsletter, I encourage you, if you like this world, if you like the story that we're telling, jump in there and start reading. Do we have the link to, would we be able to do that? Drop the link to the newsletter for anybody that would like to.
I think so.
Right.
I think Jay, if you drop it in the private chat, they might be able to, because I don't have a wrench to put it in the chat on YouTube.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Here, hang on.
That'd be Crenshaw. But on the same note with the flash fiction, it expands the characters. You don't necessarily have to read these to know what's going on in Galaxy Memorial Park, but if you have read them, it just adds depth to the characters. One of the things we did talking about with Dio's Silverbug section, the Christmas newsletter that came out. I go back to I think of Spider-Man, where Spider-Man would have a 6-part series, and it would be in all 3 titles for 2 issues each. And then one of the issues would have like an epilogue afterwards, right? And it would be like, hey, street gang violence or the Rose or something like this. And then you would have the epilogue, which would lead you into another story. And sometimes in comic books, they would tie in these epilogues to like a Christmas story or a filler story or something like that. And Jay wrote this Christmas story that came out Christmas week for Silverbug, where she had just gotten out of one of those adventures So you're catching her at that right after the breaking of the bat, so to speak, and you're seeing her recover from this 6-part, epic that she just went on, and ties it into a nice Christmas issue. So there's little things like that are really cool when it comes to the flash fiction that Jay's providing in the newsletters.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not able to make it like graphic. We can't draw, but as a fiction writer, I can write a little tiny story like that. I wish more people read, I wish more people read prose, and I'm hoping maybe if people really like Galaxy Memorial Park, I can go to RJ and Critical Blast and maybe take all of these stories and print it up as like a book. But in the meantime, you will be able to, read these as they come out every other Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Pacific.
Awesome.
The link work.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. I'll also.
Awesome. Good.
I'll
Thank you very much.
Yeah. I'll also get it put in the description of the video when we wrap up. And
thank you.
But no, that's a great idea. I really like that. Just like a world building, exercise, so to speak, without filling the book itself, the comic itself, with unnecessary backstory and that sort of thing. Get you familiar with what you're doing. It's a good idea. But anyone else got anything? You guys also on Instagram, Galaxy Memorial Parks on Instagram, and any other socials that people can follow you on and support?
Galaxy Memorial Park is on Instagram. It's on X. It's on YouTube. And then the website, galaxymemorialpark.com.
So if you guys are watching, the only way that we're going to make this indie scene flourish is to support each other. And that includes going to the other socials, liking posts, commenting, following, all those sorts of things. So get on that as well. But
yes,
we want to go ahead and start wrapping up for the night. I want to thank you guys. Oh, go ahead, Levi.
Yeah.
Can I get one more thing in?
Yes,
speaking of posts, you went a little viral yourself here the last day, right?
Yeah, just a simple little, just lamenting just the concept of loving comics doesn't seem to be enough to interest people who love comics.
Yeah.
I really, really just John's Long Box, Genuine Comics, and the chat, Dave Brink, and where they're just talking comics.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it's, to me, that's all I really need.
Right.
That's really just about it. As far as it goes. And yeah, this is true. I'm just trying to cash in. I'm trying to make the.
I don't know about you guys, but I get into comic books to escape real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and like it wasn't it was just it's just kind of sad that comics aren't enough for comic streams, and I don't know. I mean, I'm still getting notifications of people liking it, sharing it, and really, there's only been about I would say 4, maybe negative comments. So it seems like at least the people who interact with my things agree, which makes sense because I'm in that little corner of where we're doing this, So, but
my son, who's 27, we will discuss this, and he'll tell me the same thing. He's like, Dad, I just watch it because it's a car wreck, and he says I don't ever plan on doing anything other than watching.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, and I, you know, even on that level, like I viscerally react with anger to people who slow down and look at car wrecks.
Yeah.
Partially because
Mhm.
I'm trying to get somewhere. I don't need you slowing me down. We're already down to one lane.
Yep.
Right.
You know, like we don't need you slowing down either, dum dum.
The
Just
worst
get
part,
going. I got to
the,
get to work.
the worst part is when it's not a car wreck and it's like somebody just burning trash on the back of their yard and everybody slows. It's like, dude, what? It's unbelievable. I'm like, oh my gosh, dude,
Yeah.
that's real.
Car's on fire. Oh,
Oh
okay.
yeah, exactly.
And then the danger it presents to have you guys slowing down. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just like whatever. But
100%.
just
Mhm.
but yeah. So thank you guys for coming on. And again,
Thank
you know,
you. Thank you.
as I've told everyone else who's been on the show, anytime, you guys want to promote the book when it gets closer, or you just want to come and chat and just hang out, just let me know.
Cool.
It's been fun. It's been great
We'd
meeting
love
you
to.
guys. And before we get going, I just want to mention one thing. I had to go today and do something that I never thought I would do, which is get reader glasses.
Welcome to the club, buddy.
Yep. Yep.
I find myself, reading a comic and holding it farther and farther away, and my
Yes.
wife's
Yeah.
making fun of me.
Mhm.
So yeah, like it's life. It's moving on. Getting
Right.
older.
So are you? So you're probably still in goggles mode then, where you're catching just like you're wearing deep sea goggles. Your eyes won't. Have
Yeah,
your
no,
eyes?
yeah, like yeah, just blurry.
Right.
And it's not. It's. I
Hey, I
didn't
can
think it was
see
going to be that
everybody.
terrible.
I have my bifocals on, so for
Yeah,
real.
let me see. There you
Yeah.
go. But,
That's awesome.
so I got to get used to that now. But
Mhm.
anyways, all right. Well, thanks again, and we
Thanks for
will
having us.
talk to
You bet.
everyone later. Next week, I think we are talking to Ben Soto next week.
Oh, nice.
So
Good dude.
if I'm wrong, he'll let me know. But thanks.